The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to another edition of our program, CHW in Action, with your host, your friend, your CHW, Rafael Calderon. As you know, CHW stands for Community Health Worker in Action, because I'm always in action to bring you the community of Nashua, the community of Manchester, and of Massachusetts, and Connecticut, because I've come to find out that this TV show is being watched all over the New England region. So I'm very happy that we are doing something good. So thank you for joining us, and I want to again, welcome our guest, Rod Spencer. He is one of the wisest men that I know, and we are going to talk about a youth program that I run, and I'm trying to enhance. And he's one of the wisest people that I know, so we want to see what he has to say about it. Rod, thank you. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, my pleasure. Okay, and we want to talk about the youth, and a lot of people saw you. Okay. But some people might have been working, so tell us again who you are, what you do.
My name's Rod Spencer. Professionally, I'm a software engineer. I work for Segway, which is located up in Bedford. But I've also been involved actively in my church, as well as when I have time, I try to help out in different types of groups and organizations, one of which has been an organization that you were trying to put together, or did put together for a while at Central High School, involving the youth. And
Yes.
After a brief discussion on that, I thought I'd like to see if there's any way that I could help.
Share your wisdom. That's the best way that you can help. But I'll tell you, the name of the program is, well, I'll just, for the audience, it's Quisqueya's Youth Enlightened Success. I pronounce it as yes, the Q is silent. And the idea of Quisqueya means abundance. I want kids to grow up to be adults that have an abundant life, abundant in health, in prosperity, in spiritual guidance, in anything that they need. So the idea of as a youth that is the best that they can be, translating to yes. So in the program, I teach them life skills. And I was telling you before the camera came on earlier, I had one of the biggest, the most pride moments in my life. I had one of my former students. Okay, I bumped into him in Manchester, and invited him to that show. So we had an interview about reactivating this youth program, and he was my student in 2006. And he told me that even to this day, he uses 90% of the life skills that I taught him.
That's great.
Yeah, and I asked, well, why only 90%? He said, well, because when you grow up, there's some things that change in life. So he's been, it was so exciting.
That is.
Okay, so that's what drives me. See, I want to be useful to the youth. I get all happy. So when the program started in 2014, then you came a few times and you visited us and you spoke to some of our kids and you gave some lectures. So I wanted us to have a conversation about what you think about the program, what you remember about the students, and why do you think that such a program is needed in our community?
Okay. Well, what I like about the program is that it's well-rounded. It doesn't just concentrate on one aspect of your life. It's about your whole life. And for the most part, when you're, especially as a youth, you're growing up and you're trying to discover who you are, we tend to focus on just one aspect of our lives. We look at the athletes and think, oh, these guys are, they've got it made, just because they've excelled in just one aspect of their lives, as opposed to looking at the rest of the life, or the whole life. And we can see today, especially when we look at professional athletes, and we're hearing more and more about college-level athletes, how they are messing up their lives and getting into trouble because they concentrated so much on one part of their life that they've neglected the other aspects, which keeps them balanced and keeps them, I think, focused on something beyond the sports. But that can apply to not just sports, but to anything. When we spend too much time focusing in just one area, then we tend to lose sight of the importance of the other things. And that's what makes us grow as a person. That's what makes us better as a person. If we concentrate all on charitable work, or then we're missing out on other aspects. The spiritual side of our lives, the physical side, staying healthy, all of these different types of things. And I think we, as an individual, we need that balance.
Thank you, because in my personal belief is that I don't think that high schools are teaching that these days, and kids are growing up without not knowing that. And they grow up thinking, okay, I have to concentrate on one thing and be so good at that one thing, and they neglect other areas of their lives. So as life is, when life happens, then they're not prepared to deal with life. And then that explains how so many kids that seem to be so bright and going in such a good direction, all of a sudden you find out that something happened to them and they're no longer who they used to be. And my belief is that it's because our society right now, our communities right now, they're not teaching kids how to balance their lives. And a lot of people tell me that I'm doing too many things at the same time. I hear that all the time. And I tell people, well, when I first came to this country, I had to learn English, and I had to do my classes. I had to do multiple things. Then when I went to college, it was the same thing. I had to take different classes at the same time. I went to the U.S. Army, and I was taught different skills at the same time. And that's why I'm able to take someone, preferably a young person, and sort of like guide them in a way to have a more fruitful life, what I call an ideal lifestyle. And it's worked. It's been working, because it's what worked for me, it's working for them.
Along those same lines, is when we tend to concentrate only on one aspect, many times, unfortunately, something might break down or crumble, or it might fall apart. We see it a lot with athletes. I keep going back to the athlete. But an athlete, they're trying so hard to get to that next level. And if they don't make it to that next level, or they suffer a career-ending injury, now they have nothing else to fall on. That's one reason why the NCAA emphasizes going to school, graduating before trying to move on. Because if you do make it, but then are injured, you have an education, you've got a degree, you've got something that you can do to fall back on that can sustain you for the rest of your life. Many kids don't see that, and they don't have that in their life.
We need to bring it to their lives. Now, what do you think about my kids when we visited the YES program? Because they still remember you.
Well, I'm surprised that they still remember me, other than the fact that I am an overbearing individual. How can you forget, the giant?
They remember the wise things that you told them, Rod. That's what they remember.
Well, again, I don't know how wise it is. It's nothing more than what you have in your program, but maybe they remember it because it wasn't just you. It was, hey, someone else thinks this way too.
Good point.
And so if there's more than one person that's saying this, well, then maybe there's something to it. But when I met with your kids, I was pleasantly surprised. And yet I was sort of saddened at the same time. Let me explain, since I got a look from you. I was surprised at their enthusiasm and their desire to want to get someplace and to understand better what can they do to accomplish their goals in life. The sad part is that they didn't know what's out there, and that they are coming to your group in the first place because they didn't know what to do or how to do it. And much of it is, I think, basic, simple concepts that should be part of the family structure. But more and more we're seeing that the family structure doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
It's single parents, and with a single parent who's got to now work 2 jobs in order to support the kids, are never home. And so if parents aren't home, who's going to teach the kids?
Good question.
And who's going to help them move along if they can't be there? And so that's what I saw from these kids, is that they wanted to, but they just didn't know what's out there. And when we went and talked with them, you could almost see the eyes getting larger, and that, what? This is really possible.
I'm glad, well, I made that face, I gave you that look, because yes, I know exactly what you're saying, and I was wondering if you were coming from that same direction. We have kids that have parents that are good people, that are doing the best that they can, but because they are so busy, they are not able to teach these kids certain things. And then they have to learn it from the computer, they have to learn it from the TV, and of course, you know that the computers and TV, they sell you things that, you know, it's up to debate.
Well, and that's one of the big flaws, I think, is people think that, well, if it's on the internet, it's got to be true, right? and I think they're quickly finding out that
It's not so.
It's not so. There's a lot of lies out there.
And that's the key. That's what I try to do, and that's why this program, now it's going to be better than before, I'm thinking, because now I'm working on making it more sustainable. See, when I taught it at the high school, I was working with, let's say I was lucky enough to have had a principal, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, who remembered me from when I used to teach that in 2006, and I only taught for a year, and it was that life skills. I wasn't an actual teacher. I was more like an instructor. But he saw the positive outcomes from those kids that were in my program. That was in 2006. So when in 2014, I went back to the high school, he said, okay, come on in, find your own kids, but you can go ahead and use the library. And that's where you met the kids. And it worked because, as you said, the kids have the need. The youth today have that need. They need guidance. They want to see that there's, you know, what's out there. They know that there's more out there. They just not seen it. No one is showing it to them, right? However, I was doing it on a voluntary basis. I was a Spanish medical interpreter, and I was using basically my income from that to be able to not have to get a regular job, so I could make time for them. This time, I have a new business. It's called CHW Forever, and I'm getting sponsors to this TV show, and with that income, per se, with that revenue, I'm getting together to restart the program. Getting together with some of my students, former students, to restart the program and to bring new students in. So this time it's going to be better and it's going to be more sustainable.
That's great. That's good news. I can see the benefits of the program, that even with the short time and the few times that I came and visited, they seem to soak in the information and seem to understand the need of learning about these things that are outside of the typical education. Our educational system, I think, does an okay job at teaching well-rounded subjects, but it's still all educational based. And it's not really their place to teach in other aspects of one's life, because a lot of it has to do with ethics and beliefs and those types of things. And for our public educational system, that's not their place. Although I've been involved with the town where I've lived, have been part of their government for about a year and a half or so, and so much I saw that the education board, the school board, kept wanting and pushing these programs about teaching kids things that were not really part of their responsibility. You know, I understand that it's needed, but it's still not part of the school's responsibility to be teaching certain types of things. You know, it's still, that's the responsibility of the family. But it's hard. And I saw it there at the school board. I see these kids, and you know, they need some guidance, and they need someone to come and teach different things other than just their education.
I agree with you. And now you know this because you've worked with the youth before.
I've worked with the youth with your group. I've also worked with youth on a spiritual level as a religious leader. I was responsible for youth. I've also taught in like Sunday school classes, but also as a leader of an organization, had responsibility for both adults, but also my concentration was on the youth. And being able to share the gospel, teach the gospel to them, again, which is only another aspect that I've been involved with. So again, I like what your program has to offer, because it's, again, we've talked about 2 or 3 different aspects, but I think your program has 8 different categories.
Yep.
And you know, such as your finances and things, which is another thing which I believe kids today just don't have much of a concept.
No clue. And they get out into the real world without having any clue about financial literacy. And that's why they get into so much trouble. I had one of my former students who I bumped into, you know, in the community, and he was working 2 jobs so he could have a nice new car. And I'm like, in my mind is, what do you need a new car for? You're 22. Go to college, get a dependable, good-looking car, and if you have money to pay for this car, then save it. But no, it's no, I have to look good. That's the thing.
It's about appearance.
Yes.
And I think that's unfortunately more than just the youth fall into that trap. It's about appearance as opposed to the substance which is behind it, which is more important. I've also been asked to be a part of another group.
Okay.
Which we mentioned briefly. It's called Relient Services.
Yes.
And I've been asked to be a facilitator in that. And basically, these are classes that are offered for free on helping people to become self-reliant, meaning that they do not need to rely on external resources, whether it be people or whether it be the government, or whatever, friends, relatives. It's to help people to get past their weaknesses and to be able to learn how to overcome those things. One of the categories is personal finances.
Interesting.
You know, it teaches people how to create a budget, how to live by that budget, how to start saving for the future. How to plan for the future in that regard. So there's, that side of things. Another area is education for improving your job. So are you needing to be able to grow within your job, or do you need more education to get a better job? Then there's this program is designed to help you to improve in that area. And another area is if you are a business owner and your business seems to be struggling and you want to improve it. How can you improve it? And it has a program on how to some of the key components of it is being able to keep good records and marketing and learning about your costs and how to increase productivity and decreasing costs in order so that you can make a better margin. And so a lot of these different things are involved with this program, and I'm very excited to try to start getting into this. And so it's a 12-week course. We meet once a week.
I want to be in it, just so you know.
Well, we can talk afterwards, so we can see about. I can get you connected with some people because we just had the grouping that was done this past Sunday, and depending on the different categories that you might be interested in, I can get you in contact with the individual that is facilitating that group.
Nice.
What I like about this particular way that they're doing this is I am in no means an expert in any of these categories, but it's not about being an expert. It's about just, as a facilitator, my job is just to go through the materials that's already been provided and to encourage people to follow it, make commitments, follow up on those commitments where you're able to do it. Each week you are asked to have a, can't remember the term off the top of my head, but just someone else from the group, not really a sponsor, but it's someone else from the group, and you are supposed to call each other every day.
Nice.
And to follow up. Are you remembering? What did you get accomplished today? You had some goals for today. Did you get those done? And it's a way to encourage and to get people to really do it, not just sit in a class and vegetate.
Okay, number one, yes, I want to be in it. Two questions. If someone in the audience wanted to be in it, who do they contact? Do they contact you to learn more about the program? And number two, can it be offered to the youth as well as to adults?
For the youth, I think up to a certain age. Obviously, I don't think it applies if you're probably under the age of 16 as much. It's because as far as like education is concerned, you already have education up to the time that you're 18. But personal finances, I can see, once you're 16-ish, you're working, how you should be preparing at that point and looking towards the future.
And real quickly, because time has gotten away from us.
Yes.
How do they contact? How would anyone contact you to get more information?
Well, you can contact me. You can email me at rod.spencer.rs. RS stands for Rod Spencer @gmail.com. Explain that you're interested. You'd like to see how can I get involved. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what will best work within your abilities.
Okay. So you see, the conversations always get so excited that we forget about time. So that's why you have to come back. You have an open invitation to that program. We can always find something to talk about. Okay. So thank you for coming back.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Again, look at this guy. He's like a library of wisdom. Okay. You got to listen to the things that he says. I will find out about that program. If you're interested, please reach out to him. At the end of this program, you also have my contact information, and I'll be happy to be a go-between between you and him if you want to learn more about that program, if you want to learn about his classes, because he teaches, I don't call them religious classes, they're spiritual classes, and they really get you thinking about things that could be very important for your life. So keep in touch with this man. Reach out and keep in touch with this man. As for me, I thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm your friend, your CHW, Rafael Calderon. May God bless you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Maffeo. I am the co-owner of the Body and Brain Yoga Studio here at Riverwalk in Lawrence.
Hello, my name is Sholé Getty, and I am the co-owner of Body and Brain Yoga Tai Chi in Lawrence.
Hi, I'm Orlando. Welcome to Bonneville & Son, located at 625 Hooksett Road in Manchester, New Hampshire. We have a huge inventory with over 400 vehicles to choose from: Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, certified pre-owned, used vehicles, and more. Our service department keeps your vehicle running like new. With a Miles Smiles card providing multiple discounts to our loyal customers, you're part of the family now. Once you buy a vehicle here, you're not a customer. You become part of the family. See it for yourself. Go on to dealerrated.com, where we've been Dealer of the Year for 5 years in a row. ¡Wow! Y no te olvides, yo también hablo español, ayudando a toda mi comunidad de New Hampshire. 4 generaciones, una pasión, creer en Bonneville.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.